6 types of fish that seniors should never eat under any circumstances. Welcome to the Long Life channel. Today we're going to dive into an incredibly important topic, especially for those who are caring for grandparents, parents, or for yourself if you've entered your senior years. Did you know there's a famous story in the US about a 75-year-old woman named Margaret who lived in California? She was someone who was very conscious of her health, eating fish 4 to 5 times a week because she believed fish was a longevity food. But after just a few months, she began feeling tired, suffering from headaches, high blood pressure, and liver damage. And eventually, her doctor concluded that she had mercury poisoning from the very fish she thought were the healthiest. Shocking, right? But this is not a rare case. Many seniors still believe that eating more fish is good for their health. But there are certain types of fish that should be avoided at all costs if they want to stay safe. Fish can be a superfood, but it can also be poison if you choose the wrong kind. In today's video, I, as a specialist in senior nutrition, will share with you 6 types of fish that seniors should absolutely avoid and the scientific reasons behind each one. Stay tuned till the end, as there are some very familiar names that you've probably eaten before. King mackerel. When it comes to caring for the health of seniors, one of the most overlooked but fundamental principles is choosing foods that are appropriate for an aging body. At this stage of life, the liver no longer detoxifies as efficiently as it used to. The kidneys lose their ability to filter, and the nervous system becomes more sensitive to toxins. As a result, foods that were once considered nutritious in youth may no longer be suitable for us as we age. One prime example, and also a serious warning I want to share today, is king mackerel. It sounds powerful, doesn't it? But in reality, it carries alarming risks for seniors' health. King mackerel belongs to the mackerel family, with a long body, abundant flesh, and a rich flavor that is popular in many countries, including Vietnam. For many people, especially older adults, king mackerel is a familiar dish in family meals. They believe that its omega-3 content helps reduce cholesterol and is good for heart and brain health. However, there is an often overlooked truth. King mackerel contains extremely high levels of mercury. So high that international health organizations, including the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, recommend that seniors, pregnant women, and children avoid it altogether. Mercury is a colorless, odorless heavy metal that has the ability to accumulate in the body over time. When seniors consume king mackerel regularly, the mercury doesn't get excreted, but instead, it gradually builds up, creating a dangerous and silent chain of effects. In mild cases, it causes fatigue, headaches, and insomnia. And in more severe cases, it leads to memory loss, motor disorders, and even damage to the central nervous system. What's even more concerning is that these symptoms are often mistaken for signs of natural aging, causing families to overlook the true cause. Seniors may become slower, forgetful, and less agile, and many mistakenly think these are just part of growing old, when in fact, the problem may be rooted in the very fish they're eating. Furthermore, mercury also adds extra strain on the liver and kidneys, 2 organs that are already weakened in older adults. When the liver is forced to process such large amounts of heavy metal, it not only reduces its ability to eliminate other toxins, but also increases the risk of hepatitis, fatty liver, and ultimately, liver failure. Similarly, the kidneys may have to work overtime to filter the blood, leading to chronic kidney disease, a condition that is becoming more common in older adults due to poor dietary choices. As a nutrition expert, I always encourage people to choose fish that are gentler on the body, such as wild-caught salmon, sardines, or clean tilapia, all of which are rich in omega-3s and have lower mercury levels, making them safer for seniors. The most important thing is to understand that not all fish are suitable for everyone, especially when the body is no longer as healthy as in our youth. Senior health depends not only on medications or exercise, but also on simple daily choices, like what's on your plate. Don't let ignorance turn a familiar dish into a silent poison for your loved ones. Tilefish. In the journey of protecting senior health, nutrition is a golden key that, if not used properly, can become a double-edged sword. A healthy diet not only helps boost immunity, supports the heart and brain, but also serves as a solid shield against illness. But did you know that there are foods that seem incredibly appealing, even considered nutritious, yet pose significant risks, especially for seniors? One of these is tilefish, a fish with white, rich, and flavorful flesh, once praised by Western chefs as a delicacy. However, behind its attractive appearance lies a truth that should alarm anyone concerned about senior health. Tilefish is one of the fish with the highest mercury content, and the US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, warns to avoid it, especially for the elderly, pregnant women, and children. I want to share a true story from Texas, USA. Mr. Harold, a 78-year-old man living with his wife and children, was passionate about food, especially seafood. After reading an article praising the nutritional value of whitefish, he began regularly consuming tilefish in his weekly meals. Not long after, he started feeling dizzy, had a decline in memory, and suffered from frequent insomnia. At first, his family thought these were just signs of aging, but the symptoms worsened. Finally, after several tests, the doctor discovered that his blood had dangerously high levels of methylmercury, an organic form of mercury, and the culprit was none other than the tilefish, the very fish he had been eating regularly for over 6 months. Mercury is a heavy metal that can enter the nervous system and cause long-term damage. For seniors, when liver and kidney function declines and the nervous system becomes more sensitive, the ability to eliminate mercury is extremely low. Therefore, consuming fish with high mercury content, like tilefish, can lead to a host of issues, from memory loss, motor disorders, high blood pressure to an increased risk of stroke. What's dangerous is that seniors often fail to recognize the connection between their diet and symptoms. They may think it's just aging, while the very familiar food they consume might be silently eroding their health day by day. As a nutrition expert, I recommend that seniors choose fish with lower mercury levels, such as wild-caught salmon, sardines, or clean tilapia, while minimizing those listed as red flag foods by the FDA. And tilefish is one of them. Caring for the elderly is not just about feeding them adequately, but also feeding them correctly and safely. Remember that a poor diet can erode health faster than any disease. If you're buying fish for your parents or grandparents, be sure to check what kind of fish it is, because sometimes the difference can come from what seems like a small choice in your family kitchen. Swordfish. One thing many people overlook when caring for senior nutrition is that health in old age requires not only sufficient nutrients, but also careful selection of every meal. At this stage, all the organs in the body, from the liver and kidneys to the nervous system, have already worn down after years of constant work. A food that may be good for younger people can become a burden for seniors if not chosen carefully. And among the foods that require particular attention, swordfish is one that I, as a nutrition expert, always mark with an exclamation point when advising elderly patients. At first glance, swordfish seems like an appealing fish, long, firm, high in protein, and often featured in upscale restaurants. Its powerful appearance leads many to mistakenly think it's a power food, rich in nutrients and good for health. However, the reality is the exact opposite. Swordfish belongs to the group of large predatory fish that eat smaller fish, and this biological trait causes them to accumulate extremely high levels of mercury through the food chain. According to FDA statistics, swordfish is one of the 4 fish species with the highest mercury content, a level high enough to be dangerous, especially for seniors when their bodies can no longer efficiently eliminate it. I still clearly remember the case of Mrs. Louise, an 82-year-old woman from Florida, whom I consulted with a few years ago. She lived alone, was very health conscious, and frequently chose fish over red meat in her daily diet. One of her favorite dishes was grilled swordfish steak, both delicious and seemingly nutritious. However, after just over 5 months of regularly eating swordfish every week, she began experiencing signs of memory loss, restless sleep, dizziness, and loss of balance when moving. Her family initially thought these were just signs of aging, but after she was referred to me for a diet check, everything became clear. Mrs. Louise was suffering from chronic mercury poisoning, and the cause was the swordfish she had been eating. When mercury enters the body, it infiltrates the central nervous system, causing sleep disturbances, memory issues, fatigue, and loss of reflexes. For seniors, these impairments are not just inconveniences, but can severely reduce their quality of life, making them lose independence in daily activities. What's concerning is that swordfish is still commonly sold in markets, at seafood supermarkets, and not everyone is aware of the dangers of this fish, especially since it looks appealing and is often misunderstood as premium and therefore nutritious. From a professional standpoint, I always advise seniors or those caring for elderly parents to avoid fish with high mercury levels, and swordfish is a prime example. Instead, opt for gentler fish like wild-caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, or clean tilapia. Safe, nutrient-rich options for the body in need of protection. Senior health is not just a medical matter, but a daily story of each meal. And sometimes, just a small change in food choices can make a significant difference in living a long, healthy life. Tuna, especially bluefin tuna. From a nutritional perspective, tuna is a fatty fish rich in protein and omega-3s, nutrients that are vital for cardiovascular health and brain function. However, what makes tuna concerning is not its natural nutritional content, but its environment and biological characteristics. Bluefin tuna is a large fish, living for many years, and sits near the top of the ocean's food chain. This means they accumulate large amounts of mercury and other heavy metals with every hunt. Mercury is exactly what seniors should avoid as much as possible. I once worked with a 74-year-old patient in New Jersey, Mrs. Eleanor, a very energetic woman who was extremely meticulous about her diet. She chose fish over meat, cut down on starches, and drank water daily. Seemingly the ideal model for a healthy diet. However, what no one expected was that she began experiencing prolonged digestive issues, memory decline, and occasional symptoms like numbness in her limbs and insomnia. After tests and a nutritional review, the unfortunate discovery was made. She had a mild chronic mercury poisoning, and the culprit was none other than her habit of eating bluefin tuna 3-4 times a week for several months. Mercury, especially in the form of methylmercury, has the ability to deeply infiltrate the central nervous system, affecting brain function and even causing permanent nerve damage in older adults. Moreover, it places additional strain on the liver and kidneys, 2 organs that naturally weaken with age. The results don't appear immediately, but mercury will gradually accumulate and silently cause damage, much like the slow and subtle progression of aging. Many people believe that eating fish is good, and the more you eat, the healthier you become. However, the reality is that seniors need to be more selective. Not all fish, especially large species like bluefin tuna, are safe. So, what's the solution? Instead of bluefin tuna, seniors should switch to smaller fish that accumulate less mercury, such as wild-caught salmon, mackerel, sardines, or clean tilapia. These fish are not only safer, but also provide abundant omega-3s, which help reduce inflammation, improve memory, and support heart health. Nutrients that anyone in their senior years should regularly incorporate into their diet. As we age, our bodies no longer have the same tolerance as they did in our youth. Every food choice can either be a step toward better health or a hidden trap if not made carefully. Start by choosing the right fish. Sometimes, longevity is not just about supplements, but about the smallest decisions on your plate every day. Farmed salmon. Salmon has long been considered a symbol of golden food for heart health, brain function, and longevity. Older adults are often advised to include salmon in their weekly diet because it is rich in omega-3s, easy to digest, and low in bad cholesterol. However, there is one truth that is often overlooked or misunderstood by many consumers. Not all salmon are nutritionally the same. The difference between wild-caught salmon and farmed salmon can create a significant gap in safety, especially for older adults. Farmed salmon, which now accounts for over 70% of the market share, is typically produced in large farms, where thousands of fish are densely packed in net pens, either in the ocean or freshwater ponds. To control disease in such crowded environments, a wide range of antibiotics, chemicals, and color additives are used to ensure the fish grow quickly, have an appealing color, and reach market size in a short period. And this is the cause for concern. I once worked with a family in Oregon, USA, where salmon was considered an essential food in the diet of 80-year-old Margaret. Every week, she ate 2 to 3 meals of salmon purchased from the supermarket, believing it was the key to protecting her memory and joint health. But after just a few months, she began experiencing symptoms like bloating, insomnia, indigestion, and, most notably, worsening arthritis. Upon reviewing her diet, we discovered that the salmon she was eating was farmed from Norway, one of the largest producers of farmed salmon in the world, but also frequently flagged for chemical residue levels in its products. For older adults, the digestive and endocrine systems have already started to weaken, and the ability to process synthetic substances like antibiotics, growth hormones, or artificial hormones in food becomes much less efficient. Long-term consumption of farmed salmon can lead to hormonal imbalances, chronic inflammation, an increased risk of antibiotic resistance, and additional strain on the liver and kidneys, organs that no longer function optimally in older age. Furthermore, many independent studies have shown that farmed salmon may contain high levels of dioxins and PCBs, 2 compounds known to cause cancer and disrupt the nervous system if accumulated over time. As a nutritionist, I do not oppose eating salmon. What I emphasize is that the quality and source of the salmon matter most. Whenever possible, prioritize wild-caught salmon, or choose products that are clearly sourced, certified for clean farming, antibiotic-free, and environmentally friendly. Additionally, seniors should diversify their fish options with other varieties such as mackerel, sardines, and organic tilapia to ensure proper nutrition while minimizing risks from industrial foods. A smart choice today can lay the foundation for a healthier, sharper, and easier senior life. Imported catfish, such as basa and pangasius. Catfish, particularly varieties like basa and pangasius, have become a staple in many households due to their affordable price and easy availability. However, there is a truth that not everyone knows. Not all catfish are safe, especially when they come from unclear sources. For older adults, this type of fish actually carries several risks that need to be carefully considered. Despite its low cost and widespread availability, imported catfish, particularly those from farming practices that do not meet standards, are often suspected of containing harmful chemicals, including antibiotics and other pollutants. This is due to the unregulated farming processes, where facilities use antibiotics, pesticides, and even chemicals to promote rapid growth in the fish, reducing production costs and increasing profits. And this poses a significant health risk, especially for the elderly. The immune system of older adults is not as robust as it is in younger people. As age increases, the body's ability to respond to toxic substances and foreign chemicals weakens. Therefore, if seniors consume catfish that contains excessive amounts of antibiotics or harmful chemicals, the consequences can extend beyond digestive issues and may lead to hormonal imbalances. liver and kidney dysfunction, and even increase the risk of cancer. One story that I will never forget is that of 72-year-old Judith from California, USA. She was very health conscious and always tried to eat more fish to maintain her heart health and brain function. However, after nearly a year, she began feeling increasingly weak, tired, and experienced indigestion, even suffering from prolonged stomach pain. After tests, doctors discovered she had been poisoned by antibiotics and chemicals, which came from the pangasius catfish she had been buying at the supermarket. A cheap, imported catfish she didn't realize could contain harmful chemicals. This is not a rare case. Many people, especially older adults, are unaware that catfish raised in polluted environments or without proper food quality controls can contain high levels of toxic chemicals that can seriously harm health. Therefore, if you are caring for an older adult or are in this age group yourself, choosing safe food is extremely important. So, how can you reduce the risks when consuming catfish? The first recommendation is to limit the intake of imported catfish from unclear sources, particularly those from regions with substandard farming practices. Instead, look for clean fish sources, raised in controlled environments with food safety certifications, such as catfish from farms with international standards or wild-caught salmon. Additionally, you can replace catfish with other types of fish, like salmon, mackerel, or sardines. These fish are not only rich in omega-3s, but also less likely to be contaminated with harmful toxins. Most importantly, they are excellent for heart health and memory, two crucial factors for older adults. Rest assured, making the right food choices will have a big impact on the quality of life for seniors. Always remember that our health is built from the smallest choices we make at each meal, and avoiding risky foods is the best way to protect the body, especially as we age. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope the information about fish to avoid for older adults helps you make safe and healthy choices for yourself and your loved ones. Always remember, health is wealth, and making the right dietary decisions is the key to a long, healthy life. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more helpful nutritional information. See you in the next videos.